Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel Chelsea news. We're going to go through the latest stories today. And then of course, as a result of Chelsea 5, Morecambe 0 in the FA Cup third round yesterday, we're going to talk about some players in that game that either got some minutes that we didn't think would, got some very good performances under their belts as a result of this. And I want to talk a little bit about any of those performances yesterday. Have they actually given Enzo Maresca any kind of serious headache moving forward? If you're not yet subscribed to GBFC, make sure you do so. We're going to heavily focus today talking about João Felix. But before we do that, I want to first of all discuss the comments from Maresca yesterday on Romeo Lavia and Reece James. Of course, as Chelsea fans, when your captain is quite often injured, when he comes back into the fray, when he's back in the side, it's exciting. Reece James and Romeo Lavia yesterday both played for 45 minutes, and this is what Maresca said. The idea is to slow build the right condition, especially for Reece. We have to be a bit more careful. The good thing is they both played 45 minutes and finished well without any problem. We can start to help them and bring the right condition. Now, I didn't expect Reece to play yesterday. It was kind of alluded to in the press conference before this FA Cup tie. And to be fair, I don't know with Reece particularly how many Premier League minutes are even going to be feasible. If it's risky enough in the FA Cup, then I'm not entirely sure when the octane levels increase in the Premier League. Will we even see him feature against Bournemouth? Is it too risky for Chelsea right now? When I'm looking at the side, when I'm looking at the way that we've played, and even yesterday, right, playing against the low block, we were forced to take shots from outside of the area, something that we don't really do very often in the Premier League. Obviously, with Morecambe, it was, they literally just tried to queue players up in front of the goal, hoping that Chelsea wouldn't score. Tosin found it quite easy to just loop one, curl one over, and so did João Felix a couple of times too. It might not be that easy in the Prem. When it comes to Reece, and I want to talk again later on in this video about Felix, how do we get João Felix in the team? At the moment, I think Reece James's fitness is one of the reasons why it actually might be difficult to play Felix in this side. Because if João Felix comes in, the likelihood is that someone like a Sancho or a Neto would have to miss out. Felix likes to kind of come in off of that left-hand side. So with João Felix, there's still a slight potential profiling problem because he wants to play as a number 10. That's where Cole Palmer's playing. And of course, come the summer, you got Esteval coming through as well. Like, it's going to be so difficult for João Felix to get minutes where he actually wants to play. But because of the fitness of Reece James, I think it's too difficult right now to take out any players that offer the kind of natural width that someone like a Pedro Neto or a Jadon Sancho brings to the team. But we're going to park that for a second and revisit it later. I think for Lavia, also, he looked pretty comfortable. And I think he's going to have a big part to play this season for the rest of it. I think Lavia, when he's alongside Caicedo, we see Enzo Fernandez more advanced and we look more comfortable when it comes to teams counter-attacking us. So good news on both Reece James and Lavia for coming back into the game yesterday for 45 minutes. The next thing that I want to discuss here, Juventus have made signing a defender a priority this January. And like Chelsea's Axel Disasi, Chelsea are open to the possibility of a loan with an obligation to buy linked to the number of appearances. Disasi yesterday, look, I saw a couple of takes on social media. People thought Disasi was great. I don't know what game they were watching. Even against Morecambe, this guy he's just average. I think Axel Disasi, the way that he celebrated at Crystal Palace last season, I think that absolutely just for whatever reason, it clouded over what he was actually doing on the ball. And I think I loved that celebration too much. It kind of blindsided me to what the reality is about Axel Disasi. If Juventus are interested in him, right now, Juventus have drawn more matches than any team in Europe's top 5 leagues. Fun fact of the day for you right there. But I don't know if Disasi's going to be the kind of player that can turn those draws into wins. It might be turning draws into losses. But if Juventus are after him, I'm absolutely fine with that. We move. Borussia Dortmund now seriously considering to sign Carney Chukwuemeka from Chelsea. They are exploring a loan deal. We've seen over the course of the last week or so, there's a lot of clubs that are interested to sign Chukwuemeka, including apparently now Lazio from Serie A. They're also coming in for Carney Chukwuemeka. I think Chelsea are going to look at this one, and I'm just going to say it again. I've said this before. I think we'll look at the sale of Carney and be like, well, he's come good, and it'll be one of those where in a few years' time, we'll be like, should we buy him back for 65 million, 70 million quid? I think Chukwuemeka's going to do very well. I think Borussia Dortmund would be an absolutely unbelievable place for him to go and develop his game. The next thing I want to discuss is the comments from Enzo Maresca about Tosin. And I want to discuss a little bit about who should be Levi Colwill's partner for the rest of the Premier League games moving forward. We are happy for Tosin. 2 goals. He can score. He's defending well. We are happy with our centre-backs. Brace and Man of the Match award for Tosin Adarabioyo yesterday. He did play very well, to be fair. And when we do play against weaker opposition, Tosin, you can see, he's very vocal out there on the pitch. He likes to step up with the ball. He likes to carry it forward. And I've seen some people saying, like, stick him as a striker. And I'd like to believe that all of these takes are a joke. I hope so, anyway. I mean, he didn't even score striker-esque goals. It was proper centre-back kind of goals, you know, from the outside of the area. When you got your centre-back there and he's got a bit of space, he's going to just nonchalantly dink it over. It was great yesterday from Tosin. I'm not going to lie to you. But I do believe that JustACoupleGs, maybe, right now, could be still ahead of Tosin when it comes to Premier League minutes. Yesterday, when I'm looking at that matchday squad, when I'm looking at the bench particularly, for a game that we absolutely knew we were going to win, I think there would have only been like a 1% chance yesterday that Morecambe just somehow managed to deny Chelsea scoring and then snatch a goal themselves and somehow beat us. We saw it happen against Bradford. I think that was the FA Cup third round, maybe about 15 years ago or whatever. But we knew we were going to win that game. So the fact that we didn't see more minutes for young players, academy boys yesterday, was interesting. I think Samrak Saki had food poisoning. Otherwise, he'd have been in the squad apparently. But to not see JustACoupleGs play either as a right-back or as a centre-back, when we saw him get his first Premier League start at Ipswich, I don't think he had a bad game at Ipswich. But I'd be interested to see, come the game against Bournemouth on Tuesday night, is it going to be Tosin or is it going to be JustACoupleGs? I would love to know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. We'll wait for the press conference before we do the preview for Bournemouth because I think there's so many interesting questions based on the performance against Morecambe, and particularly Tosin, but also João Felix. And I want to finish today's video by talking about João Felix here, and I'm going to give you, off the top of my head, the way I want to see this work. I want to see Felix and Palmer on the pitch at the same time. I think when it comes to the way that Chelsea have struggled recently, we have gone back to kind of old school Graham Potter methods of playing football at times, even Pochettino at times in recent games in the Premier League. Chelsea have looked as though, intensity-wise, we're void of ideas. And as much as Pedro Neto, we signed him in the summer, I really like Pedro Neto. I love the work that he puts in for the team. The goals and assists, 3 goals and assists this season, isn't good enough. Those numbers are not high enough. Noni as well, not even in the matchday squad for the game against Morecambe at the weekend. Will we see him come back in and start against Bournemouth? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I think there is maybe, and I don't just want to make this something if it isn't something, but I'm just giving my opinion here. That's what I do on this channel. I think there might be an issue with Madueke when it comes to Maresca and the way that he sees him and the way that he's been training. We've heard that there is like a lot of improvements that he wants to see. So is it time that maybe Chelsea experiment moving Cole Palmer back over to the right wing? I said at the start of this season, I don't want to see anyone else play. If Palmer's fit, then he should always be the number 10 because that's where he plays at his best. But as well as that, I think so often recently, Chelsea have just looked so blunt going forward. And when I see those goals that João Felix scored yesterday, particularly the second one, I just think it's his 8th goal of the season, and I know a lot of those have come against weaker opposition. But I think João Felix deserves more minutes. I think Nkunku, based on what I saw yesterday, a lot of people in the comments of the Six Things video say you never say anything good about him. Just go and watch old videos on GBFC. I've said he's a world-class player, Nkunku, countless times, but he just doesn't fit this Maresca system. And he doesn't work hard enough. He doesn't press hard enough. He doesn't get stuck in enough. And if he does, it's slow and off the pace, which again, he's not been given the chances. So you could say it's not necessarily his fault. But I think João Felix is still given a lot more than Christopher Nkunku when Felix is on the pitch. And right now I'm looking at Neto, Sancho. Neto's a brilliant footballer. He's got a great cross of the ball on him, but we're not scoring goals from putting crosses in the box. So I don't want to see this keep repeating itself. We've had 4 games in a row where I've seen the same weakness in front of goal. I've seen the same weakness in the creative build-up. And I think maybe now, if Maresca isn't going to be too stubborn about this, I think that João Felix performance last night against Morecambe, even though he could have scored more, I think that's got to get him in contention to start the game against Bournemouth. Whether Lavia's fit enough to play, in which case I think you do have Lavia, Enzo and Caicedo all in the side. Maybe it's then Palmer and Felix behind Jackson. Maybe you don't have Sancho in there, but I fully expect Bournemouth will try and frustrate Chelsea. They'll go low block for a little bit again because that's what teams have started to do again. And Chelsea have seemingly forgotten how we can penetrate through defences, work our way around defences, and I think we need something different. I want to know your thoughts on this, and I don't want to just I'm not going to definitively say Felix has got to start against Bournemouth, but maybe I do say that. In fact, no, I'm going to say it, all right? João Felix, we need to see this. Felix needs to play against Bournemouth. I think it's about time that we give him a go in the Premier League. He's not had enough minutes. We still see Mark Guiu come on sometimes before him, Nkunku before him. I'm not buying that right now. Chelsea need to start scoring goals in the Prem. Felix scored 2 great goals yesterday. Give him the minutes against Bournemouth. Cole Palmer will be back in the team. Caicedo will be back in the team. Very much looking forward to this game on Tuesday night. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Obviously, again, Sancho, he did really well away at Bournemouth earlier this season. So, big debate. I'm going to be thinking about this a lot over the next 24 hours. Thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure you check out the 6 things. And as well as that, the vlog channel, the robbery video, it's still getting views. If you haven't seen it yet, link is in the description. It's a card somewhere up on the screen now. Come on, you Blues. I'll see you tomorrow.